Hello, it's Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls, and we've got another Toyota for you today. This is 2019 Toyota Corolla LE, so not the base trim, which is the CE model, so this is one up from that, so a lot more standard features. And let's get into it. We start off with 16-inch wheels and tires, and again, these are all-season steel belted radials. In behind both front and rear wheels, you'll notice what they call mud guards or splash guards. We've got a locked fuel door with an inside release. Important to note that these are a non-turbocharged engine. It's a 1.8-liter four-cylinder front-wheel drive. They run on regular gas, so which is the lowest priced, what they call an 87 octane level, and extremely reliable. This is really what Toyota has built their reputation on with all their drivetrains. And of course, the Corolla is well, it's really the best-selling car in the world. And I can't how many million that they have sold over the years, but this engine, again, 1.8 liter, twin cam, 16 valve, again, sort of doesn't get into, you know, direct injection and turbocharging and whatnot, and they're stuck with sort of, you know, port fuel injection. Not the biggest power in the world, 132 horsepower, 128 pound-feet of torque, you know, all coupled to an automatic transmission, but it's more than adequate for this car. It's not a race car. And gets very good fuel economy. 6.5 liters per 100 on the highway, 8.3 in the city, again all running on regular low-cost gas, so very economical. Mirrors themselves, when you get into the LE, along with door handles, are all color keyed. They're what they call a breakaway design. You can, you know, if they get bumped in the parking lot, it doesn't do any damage. They're heated, power adjustable from inside. We've got solar tinted glass throughout, which is a lighter standard factory tint that helps reduce the UV coming in and of course reduces the heat load. A lot of people like sort of a darker tint. That's really a personal preference. If that's something you're interested in, please ask and we can get you a very reasonable price to do some window tinting. We've got, as you can see there, a camera in the front windshield, and what that is doing is really tracking what's going on ahead of the car. And again, that along with a radar sensor that's in behind the Toyota emblem up front do two things. One, we have advanced what they call radar cruise control or dynamic cruise control. Plus we have lane assist and lane sensing through the camera, along with active front braking. If it's sensing an accident from these sensors, you know, in a frontal collision, it'll actually have proactive frontal braking to help mitigate or reduce or hopefully eliminate an accident as well if you're not paying attention. So again, some real neat safety stuff. Down underneath the wipers, and difficult to see, but there are defrosting grid, you know, very heavy-duty heating of that lower windshield section, and it's what they call wiper park de-icing. So in the wintertime, of course, you get snow, freezing rain, that sort of build up on the lower glass. And it can be a real pain to clean the wipers up and without tearing them and damaging them with a nice scraper. So just starting the car and letting it run for a minute with that switched on will mitigate that. Nice stylish wheel covers throughout. 16-inch wheels as mentioned, so they're very inexpensive to upgrade if you know when it comes time for tires and whatnot. We do have a power trunk release from inside. Again, it's the LE model, as you can see there. One thing I neglected to point out was headlights, and Toyota really upped their game with their headlights. So we have a projector beam headlight system, okay, LED. So LED both for low beam and high beam really give you a super bright illumination for nighttime. So that night visibility really is unsurpassed. These are excellent lights. Excuse me. Power windows, power door locks. Power mirrors are located over here. This is the actual switch to operate that front wiper park de-icing. And you notice on the doors themselves, speaker grills down below as well as up above, and then another pair in the back. So we have an upgraded 6-speaker audio with the LE model. We've got storage as well as sort of tall bottle sleeves there for you know, water bottles, tall cans, etc. while driving. Got to stay hydrated. You've got a height adjusting seat with the LE, a premium fabric, sort of a deep charcoal, almost black color. And these are whiplash reducing seats and headrests, what they call active seats and headrests, that help reduce you know, neck damage in the event of a rear accident. We've got releases down below for trunk and fuel door, all weather floor mats, plus a full set of carpeted mats that are in the trunk that have never been used. On the underside of the steering wheel, you'll see that adjuster. That is for the tilt and telescopic steering wheel. We've got a hood release lever here, driver's knee airbag, as well as a passenger lower cushion airbag. Add to that dual stage frontal airbags for both sides, side impact airbags for both sides, and then curtain airbags that drop down from the front and the rear windows, giving you 10 airbags throughout. This is really what leads to one of the strongest sort of crash test and safety ratings available in its class. You've got side window demisting for winter time. You've got automatic climate control air conditioning, and I see that little sort of nickel-sized sort of sensor on either corner there. Those are up reading sort of temperature and heat load on the dash. There's additional ones sort of tucked in the dash here, down in the footwells. And this is all part of automatic climate control air conditioning, where it's sort of reading the temperature throughout the cabin and adjusting accordingly to sort of maintain the setting that you have. So I mentioned the tilt and telescopic wheel. The steering wheel itself also has audio controls and of course station controls. There's a mode button here that allows us to go through the various combinations of AM, FM, CD, etc. This also has Bluetooth streaming. We won't get into playing that CD. Obviously there's a CD in there. And yeah, so you see the CD loading at the top there. But we have, again, this source control here. So we have AM, FM, CD, USB port down below, and then as well as Bluetooth audio streaming. I have my phone hooked up to it right now. So you can access your various playlists or any downloaded music you may have on your phone. But you know, if you subscribe to Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music or any number of these streaming services, you can access that all sort of wirelessly through your cell phone. And of course you do have regular terrestrial radio, AM and FM. So kilometers on this are just 68,166. We bought this off its original owner. Again, it's got a clean CARFAX history report. Looks like the front bumper has been painted, but there's no records on the CARFAX to show what happened. But that's not a big deal. Small bumps and bruises happen, and people elect not to put it through insurance. You'll see again, nice clear instrumentation, not overly digitized. You know, analog gauges here for the tachometer, engine temperature, push button reset for your trip odometers. Of course, you've got sort of a central info display. I'll come in a little closer there, but you'll see your cruising range up top. So that's based on the amount of fuel we have and what we're averaging currently. We've got roughly 200 kilometers before filling up. There's always about a 50-kilometer buffer even when it shows empty. And then you've got P just indicating we're in park. Of course, as you drive, that will change into the D or reverse in the mode, or you know, wherever your transmission selection is. Outside ambient temperature, so 30 degrees and rising. 68,166 is our kilometers. So with the display button here, we can go through and we can kind of go through all the various controls, you know, within the meters and whatnot, average fuel economy and everything else. Little red light there is just the seatbelt warning light. Of course, a nice big speedometer, fuel gauge. So pretty straightforward. You've got your digital clock up top. Of course, vents all across the front. The outer vents themselves have a sort of a flow control, so you can just twist that clockwise, and that sort of reduces or shuts down your airflow controls on those. And then, of course, your infotainment system. One last thing I'll mention before we go there is your cruise control, standard cruise controls set up here. Now this has the adaptive or radar cruise control, and you'll see these buttons here. When the cruise control is set, this button here will allow you to sort of change the trailing distance. So the way this adaptive cruise control works is that radar sensor is reading the distance between you and the vehicle ahead, and then you can sort of set that gap or that distance between you and that vehicle. And then as traffic slows down or speeds up, this will automatically maintain the gap up to a maximum of what speed you've set. So again, it really takes the fatigue out of a long drive, and again, it works all the way down to a full stop. So a lot of the earlier systems didn't. So this is what they call stop and go. This button here is for the active lane assist. Okay, and you can actually turn on the lane departure with or without the active steering assist. So it'll actually, you know, not only if you're wandering in the lane, it'll sort of vibrate the steering wheel and push you back when the steering assist is on, but if you're actually departing the lane, you know, for example, falling asleep at the wheel on a long drive, you're nodding off, you're tired, you know, it'll actually kind of wake you up by pushing you back into the lane and keeping you out of the ditch. So some real good active safety features there. Again, as mentioned here, we've got all the audio stuff covered off there. We've got your various car functions, okay, with trip computers, etc. All your setup menus are here as well. The sun's coming right in from the side here. I apologize, I'm getting some glare there. And of course your phone, Bluetooth audio, we've talked about all that. So it's a 6-speaker stereo, so nice little system. Then we've got our climate control here again, where we can manually set or use the automatic settings. Electric defroster with a shut-off timer. This is, of course, all your various modes, you know, your various combinations of airflow. It's got an in-cabin filter, which we have changed. We always do that, along with oil change, filter changes, air filters, anything that's required in maintenance is done. Down below here, we get into the various plugs and, you know, accessories. So we've got a 12-volt plug. You've got your high-low heated seats. Won't be needing that for a few more months, but it comes in very nice in the wintertime. And then there we have the round plug being what's called an auxiliary audio input plug, and then a USB port. So the USB port also has smart charging and as well as media input, so you can plug in. This is iPod compliant if you have an iPod, older MP3 players, other phones. Again, lots of ways to do it. You don't have to do it through Bluetooth streaming. Down here, of course, we've got cup holders, and then this is what they call a vehicle dynamic control. VDC, or vehicle dynamic control, is like an anti-skid control system. So when it's activated, it's always on, I should say, when you start the car and drive the car, and you have the ability to turn it off. And when I turn it off, you'll see a little lamp illuminating now saying track off. And so it's really a combination of what they call all-speed traction control as well as dynamic or stability control, which is like an anti-skid control. Imagine yourself going into a corner and maybe you hit a patch of black ice in the wintertime and you start to lose your steering control and you're heading for the ditch. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to recognize that as you apply the brakes. It can do some really interesting things like cross-corner braking, where it can brake the right front and left rear at the same time and you know, help prevent any kind of skid. And again, you don't lose your steering control, so you can steer out of that and hopefully prevent an accident from happening. Then we get into, again, automatic climate control. We've got all the heated seats and everything down below there. We have your normal drive mode, sport mode, and a braking mode, so you can actually sort of do downshift braking for active braking. Underneath the sort of center armrest here, we have like a center console, storage, a nice deep extra storage bin, and here we have our CARFAX report. So again, it's an accident-free car, again a local Niagara car, since brand new, single owner, all good. And then we've got a nice big roomy glove compartment, sort of your day-night rear view mirror with the little flip to adjust that. Overhead we have individual map lights. Leaving that in that position is door switch, so that when you open your doors it'll fade in and out, and of course then you can turn on both this light as well as the overhead dome light when that's in the on position, just by operating from there. Then we have of course illuminated visor mirrors for driver and passenger side, and you may have noticed these little pull-out sunshades. So this allows you to again block that sun that's sort of peeking in over the visor, so very handy. Overhead handles here for front and rear. You know, it makes it easier, especially for elderly folks getting in and out. As we get older, it's always a little trickier pulling yourself up and down into a car. And then you've got height adjustable seat belts with collision pretensioners. Now, pretensioners tighten seat belts when when an accident is sensed. So the sensors will tighten those belts so there's no slack. So those, in conjunction with your airbags, really help reduce again, injuries in an accident. So talking about airbags, we talked about dual stage airbags. So those are the frontal airbags on both sides of the driver and passenger side, and these are designed to deploy at a lower or higher sort of rate or threshold based on the amount of impact energy. So there's some very advanced collision sensors in these cars that will tell the system, you know, we need the high level or we need the low level. And it's all designed to give you the appropriate amount of airbag support without giving you too much, because they pack quite a bang and quite a wallop in reducing and absorbing energy. So the neat thing too is it also has what they call a classification sensor, and that's sort of built into the lower cushion of the seat that reads the weight of the occupant, and it will then turn off that airbag if it senses that a child or anybody under about 90 pounds is sitting there. So it's designed to, again, keep it safe for smaller individuals, or if the car is empty, obviously no need for the airbag to go off if there's nobody in that seat as well. So that's very intelligent. So let's move around to the back. We've got, of course, our rear seats. If you flip open, you'll see child-proof door locks in the back. We've got storage spots, tall, again, drink holders. On the back side of the passenger seat, you'll see a nice big sort of deep pocket. Now, these all-weather mats, again, these would have been accessories, probably $150, $175 when new. Under the seats themselves are heat and air conditioning vents. You've got a flip-down armrest with cup holders. And then, if you look on either side, you'll see these little release levers. These allow us to fold down the seat. Let me just get the camera out of the way. And that drops down, so it's a 40-60 split. So you can fold down one or both of the rear seats accordingly. Now I'm just going to open up the trunk itself and the fuel door, grab my notes, and let's move along. So, regular gas with these. No premium required, just 87 octane, which is the least expensive grade. Then you can see with that seat folded how that gives you that extra space in back. On the underside here, you'll see your rear deck speakers in the back deck. Brand new carpeted mats are here. If we flip up the the floor, you'll see your spare tire, it's a compact space saver, all your tools and jack, and it's like brand new. Of course, that's never even been used, never been out of the car. Very, very clean. Backup camera is here, which I neglected to show, I just recall that. Of course, once we drop the transmission into reverse, the camera will illuminate as well. So we've got a nice sort of full color camera with a parking guidelines. That sort of red line sort of represents about 12 inches from the object, 24 or 36, so it gives you an idea how close you may be to another vehicle. So let's put it back in park. We'll go under hood and finish up. So 1.8 liter, normally aspirated, meaning no turbocharging, no supercharging. And I'm always a fan of sometimes less technology is better. Obviously we have safety technology, but so many cars now, technology for technology's sake, that doesn't necessarily improve reliability. And as for Toyota, I think they've always really, they don't always make the fanciest or the fastest cars out there, but when it comes to reliability and resale value and safety, it checks all the boxes. So this is what they call dual VVT-I, and that just means dual overhead cam, so it's a twin overhead cam engine, 4 valves per cylinder, so 16 valves across all 4 cylinders. Variable valve timing is just the valves aren't opening and closing at a constant rate. It varies based on speed and load and a number of factors, all designed to give you maximum performance when you need it and better fuel economy when you are just cruising. Don't need that. Battery has been changed. That's not the original battery, so that's a good thing. And any 6-year-old, 7-year-old car, you know, batteries are about to fail, so that's already been done. You've got washer fluid, ABS brakes there, easy access to your oil filter, or oil dipstick I should say, as well as oil pump. And then you've got brake fluid in behind, relays and fuses within there, and of course the air filter that drops in there. So that pretty much wraps things up, folks. 2019 Corolla, great starter cars, great cars for everybody, really, depending on your needs. And excellent fuel economy, and so you just can't beat the reliability of these cars. We're CarSmart, I should say. I'm Steve. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please give us a shout, 905-354-0049.